Council, my name is Harry Zavos. I'm a citizen of Glendale. Last week, the only agenda item related to transfers of electrical receipts to the general fund was its legality. Not whether they were a good idea, not what could happen if they were suspended, not if suspended, whether they could be replaced by a vote of the people, not any possible topic related to transfers, not transfers generally, but only their legality under the Charter. Because we are told that oral communication is limited to items not part of the agenda, I did not attend, nor did I speak at oral communication regarding the legality of those transfers. Rather, I sought to speak on the fact that by vote, the people could raise taxes, support general services now supported by those transfers. But before I could finish a sentence, a council person, supported by the city attorney, sought to shut me down, claiming I was speaking on an agenda item. To your credit, Mayor, you're not here, but I hope you hear my voice. You let me speak. You erred on the side of free speech and public participation. During my 5 minutes, I was interrupted by that same councilman so he could admonish me as follows, and I think I'm quoting him correctly. I want to remind Mr. Zavos that this is not the GWP Commission where he can make himself at home on the dais and have unlimited number of time. I'm befuddled by the remark. Whenever I've spoken before the Commission, I've always been held to the same time limits as other speakers. It is the case that the Commission has stated and has encouraged members of the public to come before them and make their views known. I leave it to the councilman if his feel-at-home comment was meant to draw a contrast between that attitude on the part of the commissioners and a different one on the part of the council. When a subsequent speaker intimated that a council person was ignoring her, he interrupted her 5-minute oral communication, insisting on what she was permitted to say about him. When the mayor did not back him up, he angrily left the dais. All this, I believe, reflects badly on respect for First Amendment values. Freedom of speech is not there to protect speech that is not critical of public officials. It's not there to protect speech that public officials feel is consistent with decorum. It is not there to protect speech that is popular with public officials. Such speech needs no protection. It is there to protect what public officials might consider offensive. No less a conservative than Justice Scalia defended the right to symbolic speech which he personally considered deeply offensive, because that's what the First Amendment requires. I would that this council be equally differential to First Amendment values. Because I believe a back and forth on what happened last week will quickly degenerate into personalities, pettiness, and distraction from substantive issues, I am content to leave the last word on this matter with whatever councilman might seek to state, and on the video of last week's oral communication that's online by going to the city's website. And let me just add, I wish I could have been as eloquent on this topic as Mr. Milano.
The next thing I'd like to address is Mr. Zavos. I mean, it's a sad day in the city when he emulates Mr. Milano, especially when Mr. Milano blames us for being overly overtly critical of speakers. If anyone has seen Mr. Milano's writings, I mean, he criticizes and attacks medical conditions, my medical condition primarily, my personal life, my children, the way I dress. So for him to get up here and say, oh, a councilman was just too rude in attempting to keep a speaker on course, very hypocritical. So that is a sad day. And it's also a sad day when I have to remind Mr. Zavos, who is a professor of law, about the First Amendment. That doesn't give you unfettered right to speak whenever you want to. We can place reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. Now, the time in which to exercise your First Amendment right to discuss about the transfers was when the item came up, and we gave you full opportunity. The manner, we can place restrictions on manner when you started shouting at us and yelling and arguing with the mayor, who is the chair of the meeting. That's your time to be quiet and be silent. Is this the sort of lesson you teach your law students? That when the individual running the meeting, chairing the meeting, is trying to get a point out, that you shout him down? That's not what we should be doing, Mr. Zavos. So to say that your First Amendment rights are being infringed upon, that's really not true. We also have some rules. And the rule that we live under here is the Brown Act. And the Brown Act is state law, and it's constitutional, and we can limit the speakers. So please, don't get up here and say we shut you down, your First Amendment rights are taken away, because that's not the case. And in fact, if you had a disagreement with the mayor, who's the ultimate authority in chairing the meeting, on whether your remarks were appropriate during the oral communications part, well, when he makes a decision, you have to live with that decision. You can't just shout him down, which is what you were doing. Please watch the video, folks, the same video that Mr. Zavos is accusing us of being heavy-handed in. Please, look at that. You might want to turn your volume down a little bit, because towards the end, it gets rather loud. And it's not the mayor, and it's not myself who are making loud noises.